Chapter 17. Monica. Monica wiped down the counter in preparation for opening. She squirted the bottle of cleaning fluid she was holding, breathing in the satisfying scent of mountain pine. She realized that she was humming. Monica was not a hummer by nature, but recently, and surprisingly, she had quite a lot to hum about. Since she'd started the weekly art class, she'd been approached by a knitting circle and a pregnancy yoga class, both looking for local evening venues. Monica's cafe seemed to be turning into a hub of the local community, just as she dreamed of ever since she first saw the boarded-up sweet shop. And even better, when she'd sat down to corral her numbers last night, they had very nearly added up. For the first time, she could see a chink of liquidity at the end of the tunnel of her overdraft. Then there was Julian. She genuinely loved his company and his art lessons, but she also had the warm, self-satisfied glow of someone who's done something good, changed someone's life for the better. You didn't get that feeling often when working for a corporate law firm. It struck Monica that she'd started the art class as a way of helping someone else, but now it seemed to be helping her even more. She'd never believed in karma until now. And the icing on the cake was Riley. Of course, she knew he wasn't the whole cake. If she delved too deeply into their relationship or looked too far ahead, she knew it didn't meet her criteria. So she wasn't delving. Monica was staying in the moment. She was taking each day as it came and just enjoying herself. Who knew what lay around the next corner, or how long Riley would stay in London? This obviously did not come naturally. It took a lot of planning and hard work for Monica to be this relaxed. She was getting up half an hour earlier than usual to do her sun salutations and repeat her mantras. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift, she'd chant to herself as she brushed her teeth. It's not happy people who are grateful. It's grateful people who are happy, she'd say as she brushed her hair. Monica was rather proud of her new, almost on the verge of being chill, attitude. Usually, by this stage, she would have fast-forwarded the movie of her life in her head to the point where she'd have worked out where and when she and Riley would get married, what their children's names would be, and the color of the towels in the guest bathroom, white. Monica thought of all the self-help books she'd bought, the mindfulness course she'd attended, and the meditation apps cluttering up her iPhone. All that effort spent trying to stop worrying about the future, when all she'd really needed was someone like Riley, because she was sure her attitude change was down to him. Most of the men Monica knew had hang-ups. They felt inadequate about the school they'd been to, the house they'd grown up in, their lack of sculpted abdominal muscles, or the number of notches on their bedpost. Riley, however, seemed totally comfortable in his own skin. He was so straightforward, easygoing, and uncomplicated. He was not a man of mystery or hidden depths, but, on the upside, he was completely honest and transparent. Riley never stressed himself out by thinking too far ahead. Actually, he didn't seem to spend much time thinking at all. But nobody was perfect. And his attitude seemed to be infectious. For once, Monica didn't feel she needed to play games or to build any protective walls around herself. Yesterday, they'd gone to Julian's extraordinary time warp of a house for tea. Monica had loved it, despite it being an obvious health hazard. She'd not been able to stop herself screaming when she first went into the kitchen and practically walked into a gruesome strip of yellow hanging from the ceiling, covered in the tiny, desiccated corpses of hundreds of insects. Julian had been completely unperturbed by her horror, telling her it was only flypaper. Flypaper? Was that really a thing? Surely even Julian realized that dead bodies were not generally advised in food preparation areas. They'd actually toasted crumpets over a real fire, She tried not to think of the impact on climate change and all those poor baby polar bears separated from their mothers by the melting ice floes with proper toasting forks. She'd sat next to Riley on the sofa, and when no one was looking, he'd squeezed her hand. After tea, Riley had come back to her apartment. They hadn't discussed it. She hadn't invited him, and he hadn't asked. It had just happened, spontaneously. She made them supper with whatever she could find in her fridge and cupboards. Pasta with pesto and a tomato, mozzarella, and basil salad. He'd said it was the best meal he'd had in weeks. She smiled at the memory of the elaborately planned and executed meals she'd provided for men in the past. The soufflés, flambés, and reductions, most of which had gotten nothing like as enthusiastic a reception. There had been a tense moment when she noticed Riley examining her bookcase. Had she anticipated this romantic dinner? À deux. She'd have removed some of the books in advance. She cringed particularly at the idea of him noticing. He's just not that into you. Ignore the guy. Get the guy. The rules. And men are from Mars. Women are from Venus. Monica saw all this reading as sensible groundwork. She approached dating in the same way as she would any project. Do your background research. Make a plan. Set your goals. Riley, however, would probably see it as obsessive. Neither of them had mentioned self-help books, and the awkward moment had passed quickly. He hadn't stayed the night. They'd watched a movie on Netflix, curled up on the sofa together, sharing a bowl of tortilla chips. They spent much of the time kissing and joking about having missed most of the overly complicated plot lines. She'd been trying to work out how to let him down gently if he tried to push it too far, and then had been rather disappointed when he didn't.